hoy. Voy a cambiar un poco la dinámica. Hoy, en lugar de empezar con un tema, les voy a poner un video. Quiero ver qué tanto pueden entender. Hay micrófonos abiertos, por favor, no los pueden cerrar. Este, quiero ver qué tanto le entienden. Está bastante sencillo, pero vamos a hacer una discusión respecto a este video. Va, en un segundo, se los comparto.
On December 12, 1904, Chief Lontulu laid 110 twigs in front of a foreign commission. Every twig represented a person in his village who died because of King Leopold's horrific regime in the Congo, all in the name of rubber. Chief Lontulu separated the twigs into 4 piles: tribal nobles, men, women, and children, then proceeded to name the dead one by one. His testimony joined hundreds of others to help bring an end to one of the greatest atrocities in history. Beginning in the late 1800s, European countries participated in the so-called Scramble for Africa. They colonized 90% of the continent, exploiting African resources and enriching their countries. Belgium had recently become an independent kingdom. Its ruler, Leopold II, wanted to acquire what he called a slice of this magnificent African cake. Meanwhile, he read colonial explorer Henry Morton Stanley's reports about traveling through Africa. Stanley emphasized the Congo Basin's majesty. So, in 1879, Leopold contracted him to return to the Congo. There, Stanley deceived leaders into signing some 450 treaties allowing for land use. Leopold persuaded the US and European powers to grant him ownership of the Congo, pledging to protect free trade in the region. And on May 29, 1885, a territory more than 80 times the size of Belgium and home to 20 million people, was declared his own private colony by no one it actually belonged to. Leopold lost no time consolidating power in what he called the Congo Free State. He claimed land, raised an army, and forced many Congolese men to complete unpaid labor. Things got even worse when, in 1887, a Scottish inventor redeveloped the pneumatic tire, creating a massive international market for rubber. The Congo had one of the world's largest supplies. Leopold seized the opportunity, requiring villages to meet ever greater rubber quotas. Congolese men had to harvest the material from wild vines. As supplies drained, they walked for days to gather enough. Leopold's army entered villages and held women and children hostage until the impossible quota was met. Soldiers sexually violated women and deprived children of food and water. Congolese people rebelled. They refused to cooperate, fought Leopold's soldiers, hid in the forests, and destroyed rubber vines. Leopold's army responded to resistance or failure to meet quotas with unflinching torture and executions. Because guns and ammunition were expensive, officers ordered soldiers to prove they'd used their bullets in the line of duty by removing a hand from anyone they killed. However, many soldiers hunted using their guns. To avoid harsh penalties and account for lost bullets, they cut off living people's hands. They also used this practice as punishment. If rubber quotas weren't met, soldiers would sever people's hands and bring them to their commanders instead of rubber. The regime dramatically upended daily life in agriculture, causing widespread starvation and disease. Meanwhile, King Leopold built monuments and private estates with the wealth he extracted. Soon, people brought international attention to the horrific abuses of Leopold's Congo Free State. In 1890, American journalist George Washington Williams accused King Leopold of deceit, fraud, robberies, arson, murder, slave raiding, and a general policy of cruelty. In 1903, Diplomat Roger Casement wrote a report that corroborated the nature and scale of the atrocities. It was published the following year. In response, Leopold appointed his own commission to investigate the accusations. They heard numerous witness statements in the Congo, Chief Lontulu's included. Their report only confirmed the worst. Facing pressure, Leopold relinquished control of the Congo to the Belgian government in 1908. But this did not mean justice. The Belgian state awarded Leopold 50 million francs in testimony for his great sacrifice in favor of the Congo. He died the following year. Crowds booed his funeral procession. For more than 50 years following, the Congo remained a Belgian colony until declaring independence in 1960. That year, the Congo elected its first prime minister, Patrice Lumumba. But months later, he was unseated in a US and Belgium-backed coup. In early 1961, Lumumba was assassinated under Belgian supervision. The coup launched the country into a decades-long dictatorship. Around 10 million Congolese people are thought to have died during King Leopold's occupation and looting of the Congo. Despite this devastation, calls for reparations have gone unanswered. To this day, throughout Belgium can be found the monuments King Leopold built on a foundation of inconceivable cruelty.
Muy bien. Eh, vamos a, bueno, lo voy a decir en inglés. Did any of you know about this king, King Leopold II? Have you heard about him? Okay, first time hearing about this guy. This gives us a very good example of how history is uh, taught. Um, any of you have heard of Adolf Hitler? Do you know Hitler? Do you know how many people was killed directly? Not in war, civilians. How many people were killed under Hitler's regime?
You mean
Máximo,
like during the
Uh,
war?
Máximo, por
uh,
favor. Sí,
thank,
sí.
thank you, teacher. I can't remember well, but I think it was 2 million of people, at least.
Nope, not 2 million. A little bit more. Alexander.
Yeah, you mean like during the whole Second World War or
No, just
by Hitler
civilians.
by the
No, just civilians. It seems like the Jew prisoners in concentration camps, for example.
yeah, if I recall correctly, those would have been like 7 million Jews, something like that.
You're closer. Oscar? Oscar, adelante. Si estás hablando, creo que está cerrado tu micrófono. Oscar González.
Okay, let me check this. Uh,
Jesús, in the meantime.
Yeah, I think the correct word is Holocausto. It's in English Holocaust. Yep, it starts in 1933. It's finished in 1945, and the people that dead in that Holocaust, it's like 6 million people.
Exactly, 6 million people is like the official rounded count. Did any of you heard how many people died during King Leopold's regime? Nobody caught that? 10 million. 10 million people died because this guy believed that it was a very good idea to exploit Africa for rubber, caucho in Spanish. In a moment where cars were becoming more and more popular, they decided that okay, we are going to explode this, and we don't care about people living in Africa. So 10 million people died, more than Hitler, less than Stalin. If you know Joseph Stalin, probably you do. But raise your hand how many of you have heard this. Raise your hand if this is the first time you hear about this guy. Almost all of you. Now, the thing is that this could lead to a very interesting discussion, uh, at least in my opinion. We can go with this, or you can propose another topic. What do you decide? Uh, José Juan, adelante.
And hi, hello, my name is Oscar. And we had to get a fact about Africa in that years that the African people was not considered like a human. They were beasts for the English, for the Hollandese colonizers, and either for the French people that colonized Africa. They only looked like a beast for church, a beast for be explored. They don't will be considered like humans, no? Why they don't see it uh, with the sense like we saw a human being in this time, no?
Yes, you are correct, but by this time we are talking about the late 18th, 19th century and the earliest 20th century. So the abolition of slavery was still what was going on. They were not slaves anymore. Les hago un comentario muy rápido que no tiene que ver. Veo que varios intentan entrar. Recuerden que tienen que entrar con su correo institucional. Si no lo hacen, no les pueden dar acceso a la sesión. Jesús, ¿se quedó levantada tu mano? Nevertheless, you can comment on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the name the Congo genocide, correct? Yeah, I hear about that, but I don't have idea the principal genocide in this part of the history is the King Leopold. I think it's the Scotland. It's the principal part of that genocide. That's correct.
No, it was Belgium. Because when European countries divided Africa into colonies, uh, Belgium kept the Belgium Congo. So there were a lot of rubber trees. So that's why it became so important in this. Uh, who else? Nicole, what do you think?
Hi, teacher. Hi, everybody. Teacher, I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing this man. So, but I think about the principal problem is is part of the history about Africa and teacher. I don't know.
Every time that someone discovers something valuable in Africa, it's African people who suffers every time. It happened with oil, with gold, with rubber, with diamonds. Alexander, yes.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good evening. So I think that what you're trying to take this conversation to is maybe the this because in this genocide in the Congo they did a well it was like around 10 million people, maybe more than 10 million people that were killed. And in Europe, during the World War, there was like 6 million Jews that were killed. And this genocide of the Jews that had a massive repercussion during history, and not so for this Congo genocide. I think that's where you're trying to take this conversation into. And yeah, I mean that. Well, the thing is that, well, I believe there is various like factors there that may explain, of course, why one thing had more repercussion than the other event here, but also about this exploitation of the African people, like for their materials, create rubber in this case for the car industry and all that. Well, I have a kind of a I think this is a very controversial opinion that I have here, but I believe that pitying someone, like feeling. Um, Let me type that here. Thing. I don't remember how to write that, how to spell that word. Pity, pitying. Um, but yeah, like feeling pity for someone, feeling um, that a I think that's not good for everyone. I mean, I think that feeling pity for someone is like making them less, right? And there were times during, I don't know, more than um, 2,000 centuries ago, where Africa was terribly rich. There was a king, I don't remember its name, but it's supposed to be to have been the richest man on earth. They compare his wealth, like comparing his wealth to today's standards. They said he was even wealthier than Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos together. I mean, it was too much gold there, right? Um, but yeah, I lost track. I'm sorry. Teacher, I think you're muted.
Sir,
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
are excellent.
Yeah, I think that everything that you said was right in track in terms that I always have like a secret agenda when I choose these topics because I know these are controversial. And for starters, I know that many of you don't know about this guy. At the same time, I want to remember to you that I am a history teacher. My master's degree is in history, so these topics are very interesting to me in terms that history is taught in a very convenient way. I want you, all of you who are paying attention, I want you to write in the chat which one do you believe to be the worst genocide humankind has experienced? In your opinion, don't Google nothing. In your opinion, what's the worst genocide that humanity has experienced? No one is right. Giovanni, yes.
Hi, teacher. How are you so far? Well, I think the most I have the opportunity to live for a couple of years in Germany. Be honest with you, the people in Germany it's very hermetic with that time because sometimes you need to, the people try to forget all that um, episode of history. You got me? So, but just we need to be one point of view about of the situation because sometimes the history write the winners. Maybe we don't have all the information or we don't have um, all the process that all the people suffer at that moment. But like explained before, I have the opportunity to live for a couple of years in Germany, and the people, uh, it's very complicated to talk about that thing. I don't know.
Yeah, especially in Germany, if you are caught wearing anything Nazi related, you are going to have a lot of problems. Probably you saw that. They try to forget everything. Just go, go, go.
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Jews versus Iranians. Okay, yes. Eddie, go ahead, please.
Hello, everybody. I don't want to sound, um, I don't know, I don't want to sound weird because of my opinion, but I think uh, the worst genocides in the history, in the modern history, I think in the end of based on color skin. For example, we here in Latin America we had a lot of genocides, but it seems like uh, everybody forgot all of those genocides because we only hear in the newspaper, well, in the news, social media, all about Europe, all about European genocides, for example, um, Holocaust. But here in Latin America, we had a lot of genocides. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about if you are from a part of the of it, it seems like at the end of the day it is a worse genocide. It's just a recognized I don't know. um,
Eddie, se silenció tu micrófono. Ya.
sorry. What I want to, what I'm trying to explain is that we have here in Latin America a lot of worst genocides. For example, in my country, El Salvador, we have a genocide that uh, it is considered the worst genocide in history in Latin America, but not no everybody no um, many many people that don't actually. I think they forgot the situation, and it's very sad because we only hear about the Holocaust and all of that, but but yeah, um, that's my opinion.
And that, my dear students, it's my intention with this topic. Just what Eddie said. There are a lot of genocides that history is not talking about because they don't consider them relevant. El Salvador experienced a civil war that I would dare to compare with the Spanish Civil War. People from the same country killing each other for political reasons that ended up in nothing. Nothing really changed unless the death of all those people. Alexander, and you got me with that, the Mongol invasions to Japan. I don't know if you have played Ghost of Tsushima, but that's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. But first, I wanted to say something about what Eddie said. And the thing is that there's something there that I really don't agree with. I mean, to take this matter, this uh, this topic to the let's say, yeah, to and to put it there into a let's say some sort of agenda of, I don't know if we're talking about racism or things like that. I think that that's not where we should not be going into that, at least not in that way, because I mean it's not a matter of meritocracy, right? I don't think um, it's a matter of who cares more or less. I mean, we're talking about dead people here, right? We're talking about people. And so what I mean is, there's a quote. I think this is something that Stalin said. I don't know if it's Stalin, if it was Stalin or the other guy, but he said the death of a man, one man, is a tragedy, right? But the death of thousands is statistics. Yeah, and I think I can't be sure of what he meant by that, but the way I interpret that is that at the end of the day, we're if we start talking about thousands, or oh no, there we had 10 million deaths there, and 7 million dead over there. So this is more important than that. That's purely statistics, right? Because we're taking away the human factor of it, the lives, which is at the end the value of a life is in its individuality, right? So I guess we can develop some very interesting debates and discussions, like regarding, yeah, let's say all these from a history point of view, maybe trying to bring awareness to certain topics and try to figure out things there. But I don't think we should take it to a space of discussing racism, or from a point of view of us, which at the end of the day we haven't been directly involved in all that. Um, Regardless of if we are from Europe or Latin America or China. Yeah, and yeah, and also, as I said, we've had these genocides everywhere, because we're not talking about here about Europeans or Latin Americans or Native Americans or Chinese people. We're talking about people, human beings, after all, right? And try to put the weight in one country or the other is just absurd, because one country, the good and the bad, that's not, I don't think that's how it works. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, in the end, the topic diverged a little bit in terms that we stopped talking about genocides, because a genocide it's a massive killing oriented to a racial or a racial group or a country. And specifically, it shares some common grounds, cultural and ethnic grounds. But yeah, I got what you're saying, and I agree with that. Now, I have a question for you. Well, for all of you, it doesn't matter. Can you name? Can you give me the name of one United States president that was assassinated? There have been a couple, but give me one.
Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln, yes. Another one?
Kennedy.
Yeah, exactly. Now tell me the name of one victim of the Holocaust.
Mm, that could, Anna Frank.
Sorry, but Anna Frank was not real. Sorry.
Oh well, that's a huge debate there. That I don't think
Yeah,
you can say that just like she was not
just
real. I
just
mean,
3 years ago it was proved, but the guy who was proving this was like, okay, I'm not going to continue with this because there were a huge wave of hate. But my point is that you can name one victim in terms of a Western published book. That's interesting. Give me the name of one victim of the Auschwitz concentration camp. It's so difficult because, like you said, we're talking about masses, we're talking about statistics. And when you feel that in Mexico in '85, Thousands of people died in the earthquake, but unless you were related to some of them, you cannot name them. That's the way history works. And I think your point was very, very interesting. That going with the statistics instead of the human factor. Very good. I think that's a very, very interesting opinion. Very good. Jesús, go.
Yeah, thank you. You remember in Mexico, maybe I don't know, I don't remember if last of 70s or first of or finish of the 60s. We have the Alconazo, the students from the Polytechnic University try uh, to fight for their rights, and the government killed that people in the streets. It's an history uh, in a history in Mexico. We don't talk about that in the books. That's a little bit weird.
It was a tragedy, definitely, but would you say that it was a genocide?
I
I
think
would say it's a
that's
killing. Sorry, sorry, can you go again, please?
I think that's a genocide.
That could be up to debate. I don't have an answer for that, to be honest, but it could be interesting to think about. Eddie, yes.
Thank you. Do you remember the Paris terrorist attack in 5 years ago? I remember all the people using um, a, a profile image on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, no, Facebook, and yeah, Instagram too, in their social profile. Jesui Charlie, about Charlie Hebdo. All the people use that message on social media because it was in Paris, but not all the people use, for example, if something happened in Mexico, for example, for the narcos, nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the situation and saying and showing their feelings about that. And I think it depends about I don't know, maybe not their color scheme, but maybe where you come from, and it depends that. For example, as I said, um, there are things in Latin America that happens a lot, but uh, it's at the end of the day, it's about politician things, about geopolitics, and yeah, in about the mainstream media too.
Yes, exactly. I dare you, all of you, to find some news about racial or religious killings in Africa happening right now in social media and in news sites. Obviously, I'm talking about BBC, ABC, and Western news sites. I dare you to find it quickly. Ah, una cosa acá rápido. Marí, no bajes la mano. Eric, Josué, sí, exactamente. Les voy a empezar a poner más preguntas en el chat también para que vayan soltándose. Quiero que las respuestas las lean.
Pero, profe, preguntas fáciles para poder responder los que empezamos.
Sí, pueden usar el traductor para responder estas preguntas. No, no sé qué tan fáciles sean, la verdad, pero intentaré hacerlas como lo más directas posible. ¿Va? Mari, adelante.
Ok, gracias, teacher.
Well, about you wanted to talk about a news that right now is happening about racism in Africa, but I haven't found any. Well, I was just listening about everything that everyone was talking about was basically some people talk about racism, something about genocide. So I was like, at the end, what do we really focus on? Because they're two different. Even I heard about what was it called? The avocado, which actually sounds more like a act of terrorism than an act of anything else. So was asking basically what is the basic topic line?
The topic diverged a little bit with these terrorist attacks, with the Charlie Hebdo offices getting attacked. But I don't think that those are genocides. That there are terrorist attacks that could be related to this idea of a political or religious idea. But in the definition of genocide is the intention of exterminate
Yes,
a
basically what
social
Hitler did.
cultural group. Yeah, in Africa this is happening constantly. Is a cultural, religious, political wars in Africa. There's a number of armies with stupid names like Freedom Army, Army for the Africa Liberation, and things like that that are killing thousands of people monthly. But no one is talking about that because we have a white people conflict. We have the
Oh
war
yeah,
between Russia and Ukraine, and that's the only thing that matters.
that's true. I hadn't thought about that. Okay.
One question for all of you, especially the ones that are a little bit older, like me. Do you no, South Korea and North Korea doesn't have an open conflict, and there is no genocide there, but it could be the beginning of something. Have you heard about the Albanian and Kosovo conflict in the 90s?
Yes, I have.
And it was a white people war, and it caught the attention of all the media. During that time, no one paid attention to the blood diamond situation in Africa. People getting enslaved. There's a very good movie with Leonardo DiCaprio that is called Blood Diamond, precisely, and it explores this topic. But Araceli, yes, Araceli,
Sorry, I'm here.
yes, you raise your hand.
Yeah, sorry. I was hearing about what is genocide and the this law, the Haya, was signed in the Haya, and they say Holocaust is killing of members of a group, injuries, integrity or mental health of members of group. Uh, how do you say sometimiento? Sometimiento?
Puedes decir controlling o la palabra que sería como más exacta, subduing. Te la escribo.
Subduing intentional of a group in conditions of existence, they could destruct their self physically, total or partial. Uh, yeah, that's nothing. When you stop, oh my God, this woman with the idea of doesn't have kids, killing kids. She said, tell me to translate, people. Medidas destinadas a impedir nacimientos en el seno del grupo. How do you pronounce that?
Can you write it on the chat and I can translate it for you?
Medidas destinadas a impedir nacimientos del grupo.
Bueno, no sé si grupo se refiere a un grupo en específico.
Tal vez.
Si quieres, cópialo en el chat y te lo traduzco.
Ajá.
Ya vi que lo pusiste, perdón.
Medidas destinadas, no sé cómo se traduce.
Measures destined to prevent birth from a specific group.
So all these topics can be considered genocide. I was hearing uno de mis compañeros talking about this all these uh, killed by narcos. I don't know if they can count like genocide. I don't.
No,
I
I don't
think
think so. I don't think so because they don't have a racial or cultural component
they
in
don't
those killings.
have no tienen un, ¿cómo se dice? Como un punto de referencia.
But again, would you say even with this idea of I don't know if you're talking about abortion or just preventing some groups to have kids to have to give birth to offspring. I don't know if you're talking about this like a genocide, but a genocide, in terms what I understand, is with people that are already living, not preventing the births.
Oh, that is that say in this um, uh, derecho internacional. No sé cómo se diga derecho internacional. That is what say derecho internacional. Those are considered genocide. I don't know. I am learning with you guys.
And that's the idea. Very good. Thank you. Marie, yes.
Okay, so I got the gist of it, what you guys were talking. So the only is if I have to talk from a present, I'm not really informed. But if I have to talk something from the past, maybe what happened in Argentina and the natives kind of was kind of a type of genocide, because they when the people who Europe migrated to Argentina, they basically eradicated everyone that was native. So I would say that was a type of genocide.
Yes, that happened the same way in the United States and Canada. We exterminated natives for political, economical, and
But there
cultural
still
reasons.
can, I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there are still Native Americans, and there's some, but they live in separated, secluded from the everyone else, and then Canadians are kind of the same. But I think in Argentina case they were completely eradicated, like if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're correct. Yes, they live in reservations in the United States and Canada. Obviously, their numbers dwelled drastically. Yeah, they did. Very good. The feminist with the abortion. Can you explain it a little bit, Jesus? What do you mean with that?
Yeah, I think that the feminists trying to the rights of the abortion is one of type of genocide. I think so.
But why do you think it?
Because they don't think in the rights of the baby. That's why I think so.
That's another topic that could lead to a heated argument. Obviously, when do you start talking of the product as a baby?
For me, in my opinion, is not a product. It's a baby when you start the creation in the human in your body. You know, if the woman is start to take a production of the baby, it's on a baby. It's that it's a little bit hard to say it because the feminist wants to the right to abortion, but it's the dad wants to the right to don't give money to that kid or to take off the paternity. It's different. It's a little bit hard to say, but I think the abortion is one of type of genocide because they don't want to have take babies at the start. Why do you have pregnant?
Yes,
Uh,
yes, Araceli. Yes.
uh, Jesus, but if you want to consider genocide, they have to be forced to abort. They have to be a leader. They can uh, just put on, it's very difficult to be. think in Spanish and talk in English. They have to be yes, they have to be forced to abort. If you choose by you abort the fetus, that is not genocide. You must have a leader. You must be forced. I am Christian. I am not uh, defending the abortion,
Pro abortion.
pro-abortion, but this can't be called genocide.
Very good. Uh, Alexander, yes.
Yeah, I think what I know what Jesus is trying to do there. I think to say genocide is well, that's also there's something we can argue on, but I would say to say genocide that's a little bit too much. I'm guessing he means like manslaughter, maybe to see. Um, yeah, see. Hold on, I'm putting the word here for those who don't. Uh, I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, I think he's maybe putting onto the table this debate regarding if abortion is manslaughter. Should we consider abortion manslaughter? Um, at what point a fetus may be considered a human being, right? And therefore, if he's deprived from its life, is that manslaughter? And is that a life? I think that's the debate. And, but to say genocide, I think that's too much.
Very good. Araceli. Araceli, go ahead.
Sorry, I was reading a little bit about this, and almost the majority of genocides were led by people for the government or politics leaders. They have an idea about uh, religious or politics. So they move this kind of ideas y eso llevaba a matar, ¿cómo se puedo decir?
That led to killing.
That led to killing. That led to killing. Uh, I am impressed with this genocide of Rwanda because they have a little years ago, 20 years ago, so 30 years ago, and almost here, uh, we are older than 30 40. Never heard about this. There were like, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 millions of people in a country, and they were the Rwandas versus the Rwandas, two types of ah, ¿cómo se dice? De culturas, two types of cultures of the same country killing themselves. So I conclude this: the genocides are moving by political, racial, or religions movement.
Now that you answered that, Araceli, I have a question for you. Uh, what is more important to you? Religion, values, or nationality? What could be more defining to you?
For me, the religious is a kind of living with values. My religion is like it's it's in my religion. Uh, kill someone, this is not good religious because my religion says you must forget you must to pray, you must to give your faith, you must to do the good things. So if this kind of religions touch me no, me enseña, told me, teach me, teach me to be a good person with another kind of person. No matter if you're Jews, if you're Muslim, if you're Hindu, if you're I don't care if my religious teach me to be a good person, that make me to be a good civilization, and yeah, that made me good.
The problem with this answer is that
I think
every religion has a component where, in some point in history, they attacked and tried to destroy another religion. This happens with Christianity, this happened with extremist Muslims. So, in their origins, one of their values was to destroy the enemy, and the enemy was everyone who didn't believe the same things that I do.
yeah,
Yes,
but
during the Crusades. We're
I
talking
think a
about
lot,
1,000 years, but yeah. Sorry, Araceli, go.
no, I think a lot of people ¿cómo se dice? Tuerce. ¿Cómo sería la definición correcta? Tuerce las escrituras a su propio beneficio.
Twist the scriptures.
Uh, Demonic curses? No. No, no, no. I think a lot of people, yeah, they can read the Bible, they can read Moses, they can read, they use these words to their own benefit. So if they, I don't know, I don't have the answer of the question, but I was hearing uh, pastora, ¿cómo se dice pastor?
Pastor
Uh,
or
a
reverend.
However, this woman said, uh, uh, Jesus is going to come to Israel because it's the secret land. Uh, I, and you hear that and you say, are you crazy? And this woman has a lot of followers. This woman can use these followers to make the the evil, el mal, against other people, because she said that is the Holy Bible says, and this is not true.
Yes, I agree with that. Some people change history. Well, Mexican people know this very fondly. Uh, Pre-Columbian history in Mexico is very different if you read the Mexica or Aztec, if you want, history, and if you read the other civilizations' history. So, entonces, no, Laura, no es una clase como tal, ya les había comentado. Alejandro, yes.
Okay, teacher, good night. In Mexico, we have to the Ayotzinapa case in Iguala Guerrero, the 43, the 43 students, in reality 44. The events occurred in the night of September 26 to the 27 and 2044. The 2040. Kidnapping the students and killing. The questions is this egg could be say a genocide of people?
I don't think so. It's regrettable, I agree with that. But it's not a genocide. This was a killing based in political reasons. It's sad,
Yes,
nevertheless.
political
Yes.
race.
You can say we are talking about 43 people here. But the killing of Abraham Lincoln or JFK, John F. Kennedy, that we mentioned before was also for political reasons. So we have to be careful in terms of what is a genocide and what is not. I'm not saying. I think it was Jesus. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who said that the death of one people is regrettable. The death of thousand is on his numbers. I don't know if it was Alexander or Jesus. Yes, we're talking about thousands, but not only because of the numbers. For example, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Just in Hiroshima, there was 135,000 casualties. This was for political, cultural, or racial reasons. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were for that reasons, or it was just a military strategy.
I
Yeah,
don't. I
most
think
are
it was
strategic.
a military strategy.
Alexander, luego Marí, perdón que no había visto, y luego Araceli, por favor.
Yeah, because all the time people is like blaming the U.S. right, like as a country for these bombings, these two atomic bombs. But I believe Japanese people. I mean, they weren't. Um, I mean, they were at war, right? And they committed. And people don't talk about this, but Japanese people invaded China, Russia, Korea, the Philippines, Vietnam. They had all these territories and or part of these territories. They had them under their control. And Japanese during the 30s, during the first half of the 20th century, they were merciless. Yeah, really, um, they were absolute. Yeah, they were horrible, and they did horrible things there. So, but people forget about that. That's something that is not always often brought into the discussion. So, I think personally, I believe that if the U.S. wouldn't have landed those two bombs, the Japanese would have never surrendered. Um, so in some way, I don't know if you already watched that movie Oppenheimer. They mentioned something during a scene. I think it's allegedly President. I don't remember what president that was, but I think the president said he said to Oppenheimer, "With those bombs, we saved many lives, right?" And you could argue that that's cruelty, but that has some truth in there, right? Because the war would have kept going, I believe. So yeah, I think that's debatable, but I don't think it's a matter of good people and bad people here.
Yeah, there's no good or bad people in war. That's for sure. But you said one point, a very valid point. They saved a lot of lives, but American or Japanese, or both. Japan was almost defeated, but they were not going to surrender. That's what they say. And there are some people that says that they were already pacting the surrender before the bombings. But I think that they wanted, in my opinion, they wanted to try the bomb and to make an example of to set a superiority because that's the way they do. We can talk a lot about history of the United States, and it has been a very common situation. Mexicans can say a lot about this. Marie, yes.
Basically, I want to add. I'm going to say something about the genocide, but first I'm going to add something to what Alexander said. Well, like you said, it's debatable, like many things, but I feel like basically United States is more like they see themselves as heroes, and the rest, at least in the Second World War, everyone, especially the Japanese, were looked more like the villains in the history books. So it was more like that. more than the other way around. That's why one of the directors in Hollywood, I don't remember the name now, he made the movie Flags of Our Fathers and um, Letters from Iwo Jima. And that is, some people got really mad at him. Clint Eastwood, there it is. And they got very mad at him because they didn't want to see the ugly side of the other side of the coin of United States. So it's kind of debatable because, and also Hiroshima and Nagasaki, even though they were bombed, it's a stop, but it's like they had really, really, really bad second. They had all the they had very bad second not second results, but basically consequences. Like for example, radiation, and many people in Japan, only basically the military and the emperor were in that, and the civil people, the civilians weren't really in there. They were just normal people, and those are the places where they bombed. So it's kind of debatable in that way. Though a genocide that I wanted to say was the one of a religion. In 2000, when 2000 came around, it was a religion where a guy said, "Oh, the world's gonna end. Let's all kill ourselves," and they did all kill themselves. So that's one type of genocide too.
Very good. Yes. Yes. Araceli and then Guillermo, and we are done for today. Go ahead, please.
I'm gonna let my place to Guillermo. Thanks.
Guillermo, yes.
Hi, teacher. Hi, boys. My English is basic and and my words are simple. Mm, touching in the subject of the bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, um, and no, don't only affect the humans, uh, to affect the ambient, um, and this is the cause global affect the radiation generate a problem at the posterior the generations, and the case is mm, the life of ocean o sea can, ¿cómo se puede decir? Repercutir o ocasionar como lapsos así que posteriormente generen más problemas.
¿Cuál fue la primera palabra que dijiste?
Que sería así como que genere problemas posteriores, como que trascienda a generaciones. Como trascender o algo así.
Yo lo diría así.
It generates problems in the forthcoming generation. Yeah, and this is your problem, the problem global to affect the humans. Quiero a ver si puedo encontrar aquí algún texto que me fue.
Oh, vas bien con lo que estabas diciendo.
They may cause future problems for the next generations. And and, and this is my point of view.
Very good. Thank you. Araceli? Araceli? Something you want to add to conclude?
I'm gonna raise you a question, guys. Do you think the next genocide could be with a virus, like this virus COVID, or do you think will be with another world war?
In terms of it affected people from all across the globe, I wouldn't say it was a genocide. It could be. If we believe these conspiracy theories, I think that this could be. Yes.
I don't know. I am a little conspiranoid, and I think COVID was making a laboratory with some, I don't know, interest. Like, I don't know, maybe the first is few of the old people. They can be useful by a government, or two government, or three governments. Like you say China and they say Ukraine. Ahorita they are talking about with this laboratory. Uh, uh, ¿Cómo se dice? Clandestinos.
Underground.
This laboratory underground in Ukraine where to help to develop the COVID.
Okay.
Could be, could be.
Sorry.
Digo, podría ser. It could be.
I don't think so, but I'm going to. Bueno, se los voy a decir en español. Propuesta para la siguiente clase. Puede ser esta. Lo vamos a dejar como ¿qué es eso? Vamos a hablar también de teorías de la conspiración, que me parecen muy curiosas. Si tienen un mejor tema para la siguiente clase, lo pueden proponer. Hoy hablaron más, otros se quedaron callados de los que ya habían hablado en clases pasadas. No dejen de participar, ¿va? Perdón por los minutos extra que nos llevamos. Vamos a dejarlo hasta acá. Que tengan excelente noche. Cuídense y nos vemos el jueves.
Good night, teacher and guys. Thank you. Bye.